Not all games see the light of day. Some of them aren't pretty enough, some of them aren't possible, and sometimes it's not the game's fault. This is one of those stories. Volition, most known for their work on the Saints Row series, did a live stream recently where they talked about one such project, which was the canned Saints Row Undercover, which was supposed to come out for the PSP. It started off as an attempt to port Saints Row 2 to the mobile and as such was codenamed Saints Row 2 Mobile, before being named Saints Row The Fall and finally Saints Row Undercover. According to Volition, it was canned early on as the game didn't live up to its big daddy. If you know me, you know I'm a sucker for prototypes, so when they announced they're releasing the ROM, I just had to get my hands all over it. The file itself is actually an image of a PSP game, an ISO file, and you normally can't run those on a PSP unless you have modded it. Thankfully, I own a device like that, so I charged it up, put the image file on the memory stick, booted up the console and got greeted by Saints Row The Fall. Seems like the system icon and background for Undercover still had the old working title. Huh. Let's boot the game though, I'm so excited! Oh no. So it turns out the game won't boot on a regular PSP. Go figure, it was made for a dev kit. I followed a tutorial online on how to try and modify the game image and maybe possibly boot it, copied the new version over, booted it up and... Oh hello, it works! Except it doesn't. Unfortunately, after selecting new game or loading one, it will just shut down the PSP. Damn, that won't do. So the last option is basically using an emulator on a PC. Thankfully this does work and actually allows me to capture the game in high res. The main menu greets you with bare-bone ugliness, allowing you to select either a single-player game or co-op. Heck, you can't even get out of the co-op menu without restarting the whole thing. From the single-player menu, only new game and load game work. The first one will allow you to customize your character a little bit before the game begins, but not with as many options as SR2 gave you, and most of the stuff will look glitched out anyways. Loading the game will instantly drop you into the gameplay as the default character after the tutorial. And the tutorial, oh god, why? It's at this point that I realize how much of an ungodly disaster the game's controls and camera are. Holy crap. How is this so bad? The game has no manual camera controls. The PSP didn't have a second analog stick for the camera, so they went with an automatic system that sort of follows you around and freaks out whenever you try to manually aim weapons. Speaking of combat, you can either manually aim, which is just as painful as it sounds, as you cannot move when doing that, or use the auto-aim system, which is just as bad. Everything feels wonky and buggy, but hey, it was a prototype. After the tutorial, you're free to go and explore Stillwater, which is pretty much the same map from Saints Row 2. It's hard to tell that looking at the game, as its drawing distance is equal to that of a thrown curled up piece of paper. I understand that the PSP didn't have much power, but seriously, this somehow looks worse than anything I've played on the PSP. The city is dead and empty. You can drive around this wasteland by hijacking a car, but good luck trying to drive for more than 10 seconds before the physics engine completely freaks out. It's actually kind of beautiful and amusing what a train wreck this prototype is. The physics engine in the original Saints Row 2 was Havoc, which was probably unportable to the PSP, so I'm not surprised they tried to make their own and fell flat on its face. There's the insurance fraud activity in this prototype, which relied on physics, but here is hilariously broken. You can also start missions which bug out and I'm not even sure you can complete them. You randomly fall through the floor and respawn. You can get out of the car and be Michael Jackson. Radios are forever doomed to have work-in-progress placeholder graphics, and flushing cute kittens down the toilet is fun. Volition said so. If this is what Saints Row Mobile could have been, I'm glad it was canned. Even playing it now as an outsider, I feel the same way the team did. This just isn't it. It's a shell of a really great game and the platform just couldn't handle it. Could it work better if they tried a different approach? Maybe. Heck, Volition also released the whole game design document, which includes the game's supposed story, missions, and pretty much every game mechanic in detail. It's a rather large document and most of it's technical stuff, so I won't even bother trying to summarize it up. You can check out what might have been, but for now, rest in peace, Saints Row Mobile /The/Fall/Undercover. And if you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe? I do more. I look at old games, I look at new games, I look at prototypes, I look at indie games, and I guess that's it. I'll see you in the next video. TRG